Scott here with Dorsten Custom Firearms. Alright, coming back with you. A lot of you have been waiting for this, and I am sorry that it's been years before I could get back to it. But this is the final installment of my Level 2 Trigger and Action Job series. Yes, we're going to finish it. Sorry about the gun that I was working on when I started that series. I ended up getting real busy. Had to finish the gun, get it back to the customer. And it's just been a whirlwind of events since then. But I am still doing revolver work. In fact, if you check out my website, vdcfirearms.com, you will find a lot of my information there and some excellent guns, including a concealed carry J-frame that is absolutely the best tippy top that you can get. I'll do a separate video on that coming up here. I'm also Tom Russell, Master Firearms Instructor with American Firearms Academy, is going to be doing a review on that. But today we are getting back to the Level 2 trigger and action job. We have a 686 6-inch. This one is actually getting the Level 2 Extreme, and I know it's pretty much assembled right now, but we're going to take it apart and I'll show you a final assembly, and then during that time I'll explain to you the difference between my Level 2 and my Level 2 Extreme. There is a difference. Mostly you get a brand new trigger and hammer added to it, and these are tool steel ones. They're not MIM, they're not cast. They are wire EDM'd and CNC machined out of tooled steel. So this package gives you like a rock solid action that it's going to last generations. So, but where we're starting off, we are starting off with the crane lock. If you remember, I showed you the crane lock before in the previous videos. If you need to, check out some of the other videos to look at that, feel free to do so. Crane lock is a ball detent that we put in the top of the crane, and it just gives you a third locking point when you close the cylinder. So instead of being at the back of the cylinder and then at the very back of the ejector rock, so the normal two ones, there's one here and there's one here, now it gives you one in between and just adds a little bit of stability. So it's just part of the package, and it's part of the performance package. We have the Power Customs KL and N frame crane lock jig. I do believe they still offer this. I haven't looked for it in a while, but I believe they still do. It comes with instructions, of course. It comes with a rod to set the ball detent, and we'll show you that as well. I'm not totally happy with this seems kind of thin. I would like a much thicker one to hold on to. It makes it easier to hold on to if it's thicker. But I haven't gotten around to making myself one yet. So, all right, the instruction manuals. We're not going to get too detailed on how to do this because the instructions are very detailed, and it gives you all the information. Okay, so we are drilling a hole that is a number 30 drill bit, which is 0.1285, and that's the number 30 in your drill bit kit. And we are drilling that to a depth of 0.250, 250 thousandths. So, what are we missing? I didn't pull the tape down. So, the only thing that is a little different from what I do that is not in the instructions, okay? So, there's the cutout. All you do is insert it in, okay? So there it is in the jig. And then what I do is I take a little bit of tape and I just go around the front of it. And what this does is it makes sure that it's just going to stay in the back position, that when you turn the machine on and it starts spinning, that it's not going to vibrate its way out, because it's not held in by anything. It's just there. Now when you clamp it in the vise, it might crimp down a little bit to hold on to it, but I like to put the tape on it just for a little bit of insurance to make sure it's not going to walk out when I'm drilling it. Okay. Alright, so the next step is going to be over on the mill. Okay, we're set up at the mill, and we got the workpiece set up in here. We got our drill bit in, and then all we got to do, I've already got the depth lock set for 250 thousandths, and so all we got to do is turn it on and do one plunging cut. And you only want to do this once. You don't want to go up and down, because you don't want to make the hole too, that'll make the hole just slightly bigger, and you don't want that. You just want to do one clean cut and then done. Okay, back at the bench. I'm going to try and keep this to where you can see everything. So here's our hole. We got it all set up in there. It's drilled perfectly, nice and clean. You'll see right here is the little ball bearing, and that's the spring. This part for me is always the biggest pain in the butt, because these parts are very small. And every time I think I have a tool where I can set that on there and have it work, the tool ends up magnetized and it doesn't work for me. Alright, so the rod where you stake this in place, basically all we're doing is staking it in place. Which staking, basically we're swaging the metal over the hole so that the ball bearing will no longer fit through it. So this rod has a hole in the center so it can push the ball bearing down, and then we hit it with a hammer. I suggest a heftier one, using a 12 ounce ball peen. We have it in a vise. I have it padded with popsicle sticks on both sides to keep it from doing any damage to the metal finish. Okay, and we're going to push it down. We want to try and keep it nice and flush, flat, and we just give it a whack. And we check it, not quite yet. Come on. Okay, so there the ball bearing is staying in place. I'm going to give it just a little bit more of a whack. Get a little more. A little bit more. There we go. Alright. There you go, folks. The ball bearing is in place. Okay. Now our next step, and yes, this thing, the popsicle stick broke. That's fine. I'd rather it give than anything else. The finish is still protected. So, but that's staked in place. Now, we need some place for the ball bearing to lock into. So we need to cut a notch into the action. Okay? Alright. I'm going to stop there for a second. I need to put some dicum on here. Dicum is a metal die, basically. It comes off very easily, but what it's great at is it leaves scratch marks or rub marks very well, so that we can see where the ball bearing, the lock, is rubbing, okay, and where it comes to an end and all that. Now, I got the gun completely disassembled. I got the side plate on, and I'm going to show you why in just a moment. So, if you can see the blue here, the bluish purple, that's dicum, and basically, like I said, it's just a die almost, and it'll show a scratch mark on it. Anytime you scratch it with some metal or something rubs against it, it'll show you that mark. Okay? That's a little better. So, all right. So we're gonna put the crane or yoke, depending on who you talk to or what you want to call it. I don't care. Either one will do. We're gonna put it in the gun. Now we are going to put. All we need is the front screw in there that holds the yoke in place. And that's the wrong bit. That's the right bit. Okay. We want to do this so that the yoke is pretty much lined up where it's going to be when you tighten it down in the gun. Alright. Alright. So, we got the yoke in there. Now, all we're going to do is move it back and forth, in and out of the action. We're going to do that a few times. Yep, starting to get a nice little scratch mark in there. Alright, now I don't know if it's going to come out, but there is a, let me get us something pointy to point with. There we go. Like I said, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I don't know if it'll come out, but there is a scratch mark right there. Okay. Now, that is telling me where the ball is riding on the frame. It tells me where it begins riding, and it shows me where it ends. At the end of the scratch mark is where we want to put the indentation for the detent to snap into. Okay? Now I'm going to remove this. And I want that out of my way. Alright. Now, I've got a vise. This little pana vise is like a third hand for me. And it'll hold the gun in place while I do the cutting. Alright. Now, our cutting is going to be done with a Dremel and a bit. It's just like a little mill type bit. It's small. It's all we need. I just do a couple little alignment test runs here. Just the machine's not even turned on right now, and I'm just kind of practicing where the location is going to be, because you really only get one shot at this. Alright, I'm going to turn it on. Now we're ready to cut. Alright. Alright, now we're going to give it a test. All right, it's hard for you. Okay, so what I'm looking for is I'm looking for it to snap into place, and it's not doing that yet. So we need to do a little bit more. All right, another test. There we go. Now I can feel it. Okay, so you can even see how it kind of pops out now. Yep, perfect. All right, so there you go. All right. All right, folks, that is the installation of the crane lock. Okay. I'm going to cut it there. We're going to reset again. I'm going to clean the gun up. I'm going to remove the Dicom. Let's see if I can get you. So, yep, that should come through. So you see that little silver part right there? Right there. That's the little detent that it goes into. That's the little cut we made. Nice and clean. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of ways to do this. You can, you know, put it, you know, chuck it up in the mill and come in and do it. Honestly, this is the way I'm most comfortable doing it because it lets me take small amounts of material and test it on the fly. And it looks good. It looks like it was machined. There's, you know, yeah. This is just the method I'd use. If you got another way, great. You know, everybody's got their own way of doing things. The type of bit that I use is my preference. Okay, these here, I've seen people use, you know, a cutoff wheel and just, you know, a smaller one than this, of course, and just come in and, you know, cut it like that. But I don't like to do that. I like something smaller, a little more precise. Gets a nice, you know, kind of ramped look to it. So, all right, we're gonna reset, and then we're gonna do the final assembly, and then the gun's pretty much done. The chamber mouths have already been beveled. They've already been polished. You've seen that. So, yeah, the final assembly, and then we'll put a trigger gauge on it and see what we got, and we'll go from there. Now, the gun's all cleaned up. The Dicom's been removed. It comes off very easily. Just a little denatured alcohol took it right off. And we are now ready for final assembly. Everything's been polished. Everything's been honed. All the parts are in place. I've already installed the extended firing pin. I'm not going to pull that out and show you that. It's held in by a pin. If you don't know how a pin works, you shouldn't be doing this. So there you go. Okay. Now, this gun, so the gun that we started this series on, it was getting the level 2 trigger job, and it had a 2.5 inch barrel. This gun is getting the level 2 extreme trigger job. Why is it the level 2 extreme? Well, because I didn't have a better name for it. So the level 2 extreme, you still get all the same work has been done. I have honed and polished everything. I have fitted a new cylinder stop or bolt, however you want to call it. I've fitted a new hand. Both of those are made of tool steel rather than a MIM or a cast part. The level 2 extreme also gets a new hammer. You'll see this one is kind of a hybrid between new and old styles with the stirrup back here. Okay. Also, this one is made again out of tool steel. It's solid bar stock. It has been wire EDM'd and CNC machined to perfection. So it's going to be a lot stronger, a lot longer lasting. It's not going to have heat treats that are going to wear through or anything like that. It's just going to, it's a solid piece. The trigger, we got the same thing. Again, kind of a hybrid because it has the hinged with a pin on your rebound rod. Again, the trigger has been A solid tool steel, wire EDM, CNC machined out. So again, it's going to be much longer lasting, much stronger, and it's got a nice polish on it. So we're good to go there. Okay, so we're going to start putting it together. We're going to start with the rear sight. I'm going to make an adjustment here. I'm going to try and keep everything in camera frame as best I can. It's more important for me to see what's going on than it is for you. So, kind of covered a lot of this stuff. So, I took the front side, the rear side off. We're just going to put that back in. Now, the sight up here it's kind of spring loaded, so it's spring steel. So when you're going to screw it down, don't just put the screw in and start tightening it. Hold it down with your thumb to kind of let the screw get plenty of threads before it starts getting the spring tension on it. That'll keep the screw from stripping. Okay? And again, always make sure that you're using the proper type and size of screwdrivers. Okay? I recommend the Brownells kit. I have a video on gunsmithing screwdrivers, gunsmithing tools, screwdriver kits. You can review that. But I recommend the Brownells kit. It's the most versatile, it's the most cost effective, and it's made in America. And the warranty on it is fantastic. Basically just a no questions asked. If you break something, send it back, they give you a new one. So I'm going to put just a little oil on the yoke. Just a few drops, that's all you need. I literally did 3 drops there, and that is all that you need on that. Give it a good spin so get all the oil going around. So again, we have our crane lock installed, and it's working perfectly. Alright, cylinder stop is our next one. I got the spring here. I've got a little bit of gun grease on the spring that kind of helps keep it in place while I fiddle around with it, getting it in. Just like that. So, sorry I can't get you a better view on this. I don't have anything to like hang the camera from the ceiling. But I'm a gunsmith, I'm not a videographer. So, dental pick, again, this is like one of my favorite tools, especially on Smith & Wesson revolvers. It helps me push things around. There we go. You depress the spring, and then push it down, and then everything clicks into place. There we go. Alright, trigger is next. A little bit of oil on the cylinder pin, on the trigger pin, and that's in place. Alright, the rebound, there is a rod. I know you can't see it because it's covered in grease. It's to help it keep moving smoothly, but there's a rod in here that is your over travel stop. It's not on all models. This one, the trigger kit actually came with this one, and I had to fit it. So it's really nice. It makes it to where when you go into single action, you just get a nice crisp trigger pull, and it drops. Okay, this is a little tool especially designed for the rebound spring, and it works well. I like it. And today it's being really friendly because it worked right away. Sometimes you got to fiddle with it a little bit. Sometimes you don't. Alright, the hammer. So, pull the trigger back. Put the hammer in place. This is very difficult at this angle. I'm trying to show you. Oh, get the stirrup out of the way. There we go. And then you release it. Alright, just like that. Alright, this is the hammer stop. We always want to make sure we put that in place. It is a safety feature in the gun. Alright, now we're using the power rib mainspring. Alright, now in one of my previous videos I had mentioned getting an extended strain screw, and I had several people ask, well, where do you get an extended strain screw? I can't find extended strain screws. Well, that's because they don't actually make an extended strain screw. You know, you're not going to find it on the interwebs listed that way. That's where kind of familiarity with Smith & Wesson revolvers and such, and being a gunsmith, comes in handy. So, where did I get the extended strain screw? Well, it's very easy. Instead of getting a strain screw for a 686-6 round butt, I got strain screws. Okay. Let's see if I can get a good angle on that for you. Okay. For the N-frame square butt, I usually use the model 29 or 629, depending on whether, you know, it's going to be blued ones or stainless steel, or depending on what they have in stock. But yeah, any N-frame square butt strain screw from Smith & Wesson will work in any of the K, L, N, and X frames. And it is the full length. I do my testing, I do my test firing, looking for light primer strikes and stuff like that, make my adjustments, measure what I need to know, and then trim the screw down, giving a little bit of flexibility on the strain screw, so that because I can't test every type of ammo out there, so I want it to be able to screw in just a little bit more so that the customer can adjust it when he gets the gun if he finds ammo that does not want to fire. The trade-off on that is when you add strain to it, it does increase the trigger pull a little bit, not by much, but a little bit it does. But you got to find that happy medium between your gun will fire reliably with the trigger pull that you want. So, and there is a happy medium there, and it's very easy to do. It just takes testing. Anytime you're doing custom work, you got to test things like you wouldn't believe. Never carry any type of ammo that you have not tested in your gun to make sure it fires properly. So, alright, everything is in place. We're going to put the side plate on. There we go, and that just fell right into place. So, no problem at all. Alright. Front screw, center screw. There is no difference between the center screw and the back screw. They are identical screws. On the current production model, they're identical. The front screw has the plunger in it. If I can get it back out. Okay. It has a plunger in it that locks the crane in place. Okay. Older models, it'll have on older model Smith & Wessons, these two screws are technically the same screw. However, the front one is fitted to have the proper depth. So make sure you don't mix those two up. And on the older ones, the rear one has a flat top instead of a dome. I kind of actually missed that. It looked nice. But, you know, production cost efficiency. Alright, now, I didn't put any pressure on the strain screw until I had everything in place up here, and that's because if you do that, if you have full tension on the mainspring and the side plate's not on it, you run a risk of breaking the hammer pin. And that's a big pain in the butt because, in my opinion, you need to send it back to Smith & Wesson to have it replaced. You can, a gunsmith can do it. I can do it. I don't, because I prefer to send it to them because they have the jigs and the measurements and all the specs to locate it properly and put it back into place properly. It's just peace of mind to have them do it, and plus then it's covered under warranty and you don't have to worry about that. So, not that the repair is covered under the repair after the fact is under warranty. It'll cost you to have it fixed, so don't break that. And now we're putting pressure on the strain screw. That's very nice, very nice, very nice. And it's got just a wonderful single action trigger pull. Okay. Alright. So now we're just going to put the grip back on. Alright. So I put this on the trigger pull gauge during first assembly. This is actually the second one because I always go through everything once before I film it. Oh. There I go, forgetting a PC. You guys got me distracted. It'll help if I put this on. This will help the grip stay in place a lot better. There we go. Now we can put it on. There we go. All right. There you go, folks. Okay. Now, I know somebody's going to say something about, dry firing the gun. Oh, you shouldn't be doing that. It's like, listen, you're not going to hurt it by dry firing it, especially the newer models with the firing pin inside the frame. It doesn't affect it at all. It's got a spring behind it. You're not hurting anything by dry firing the gun. Okay? The older ones, yeah, some say that with the ones with the firing pin on the hammer, some say that you can, but really you're not putting any more wear on it than you would be just shooting the gun. So, again, it's a non-issue. It's perfectly fine to dry fire them. Especially, that's the way I work. I got to test everything. I've already tested it all at the range, so I know we're good to go there. I know that my strain screw is set properly with some extra play in it so that a customer can adjust it for ammo. Yeah, we're good to go. So that's it. That's the assembly. You're going to ask, somebody's going to ask what the trigger pull weights were. So the double action trigger pull from the factory is right around 12 pounds. Now it's within a few ounces of 8 pounds. And it can probably be adjusted a little bit more from there. The single action is a very nice 2-pound trigger pull. That's generally the lightest I go for most people. My personal ones, I've gotten the trigger down to 1.5 pounds. I have a 44 Magnum that has a 1.5 pound trigger, and boy howdy, does it surprise people. I always have to warn them. I usually have them do a dry fire before I let them shoot the gun. Yeah, because you want to make sure you're on target. But in any case, there you go. The trigger is done. This concludes the series for the Level 2 trigger job from Dorsten Custom Firearms, myself, Scott Van Dorsten. Still doing this work, still available. Check out my website at vdcfirearms.com, and you can see all the current prices. You can send me from anywhere in the United States. You can ship me your gun to have this work done. Do it all the time. It's not a problem. So yeah, folks, I'm going to be doing another revolver video for my constant companion package. It's a J-frame concealed carry gun, and I do a lot of cool work for that. Yeah, you guys will like that one too. So, this has been Scott with Van Dorsten Custom Firearms, your friendly neighborhood gunsmith. Coming to you from Sheridan, Wyoming. Y'all take care now.